But football, that's a big part of your story. Not it's not just the music, but football. So tell us how what attracted you to football, and why did you want to do it for so long? When I would assume from knowing you for quite some time, you were good at other sports you could have possibly majored in.
What's a lot? First sport I remember loving was basketball. A sport that I probably would have dominated at naturally are combat sports. Um, Wrestling would have been something I probably dominated at.
Yeah.
I never did it because it wasn't readily available. But wrestling, boxing, I'd have been like my trainer. One trainer I had told me like, "Yo, you would have dominated at X, Y, and Z. Like your physique, your mentality. That's But basketball was like the first love I remember. But I had always been a football lover, and I didn't know that. So my first words were actually football. Didn't know that.
Okay.
No, my first word was ball. My
Not
first word was
not
ball
dad,
specifically.
not mom, but
No,
football.
no,
Okay.
nope. My first word was ball. BALL. And I didn't know that. I was like, what was my first? She said, your first word was ball. And then she said that like one of your biggest statements was, "Don't tell me no." So when you think about those two things, it kind of sums up the person I am because I haven't changed much since then. And um, so it's always been there. Um, the only problem was I didn't have the initial support to play it. I would have to go play street games. I would have to like sneak outside and practice by myself. Like I had to like I had to learn football in the most unorthodox way to learn football. Like and so when you have to go earn something like that, you don't let it go. You
Mm,
don't let it go easy. So I had to like sneak outside. And, like, I was always the smallest guy. I wasn't always. I was fast when you ask other people. In my brain, I wasn't fast enough. I'm watching Steve Smith, and I'm like, I'm not fast enough because I seen him and he's fast. I need to be fast like that. So in my mind, I didn't have all the capabilities, but I was more capable than I thought. So I had to work really hard. And so when you invest a lot of time into what you're doing, you don't just let it go. So, um, but it's more or less what football taught me is that nothing happens overnight, and even if you're naturally gifted at it, there's more that you can learn and become even better at. And I traveled a bunch for football, played out the country. I was in the NFL draft, the 2018 draft, went undrafted. Um, I've done a lot, so it's more or less what it taught me. But I wanted to make sure that I did everything possible to give myself a shot, and I did a lot of things. There's some things I should have done differently and would have done differently if I known more. Because football is very political, much like the WWE entertainment is political. It's all political. You have to know. Number one, you gotta be good at what the hell you're doing. That's number one. Right? You got to be good at what you're doing. But if you don't have the resources and know how to the know how, then you might not even know how to be good in the political sense. If that even makes sense. So what I mean by that is
mm,
like in football, the most important thing in football, especially got my size, is your 40-yard dash. No
yeah.
matter how good you catch the ball, no matter how good you run routes, you're 40 as a man in my size, it needs to be blazing. I've always been fast, but I didn't know how to run a 40. When I
Okay.
was getting ready for the combine and the pro days, we were specifically training 40. And that's one thing I would do differently. I would make sure I got to a speed. I would try to get to Rich Garcia. I would have found someone at new speed to teach me specifically the 40. That was fast. Just did not run a 40. Just couldn't run a good 40 at the time. I ran a good 40 much later. But it's just I invested so much time in it, so much energy in it. And knowing how good I became through that work and everything, bro, it was impossible to let go. Uh, but I'm at a point in my life today where I'm like, all right, man, I can hang up the cleats and be all right. You know what I'm saying? But when you see Steve Smith dominate and you see Steve Smith with his wife at that time, his wife and his 4 kids, and they had been together, got married in college, I kind of wanted a story similar. I wanted a story similar, but that wasn't my story. And it's okay that it wasn't. Um, but as a kid, you kind of want to do things what you deem as the right way. And watching Steve Smith and playing ball and training hard, that felt like the right way for me.